Hey everybody, welcome back. When you last joined us, we were in Portugal, where we hired a camper van, met up with an estate agent.
Got loads of character.
It's beautiful.
Oh my god, look at that. I love the rock.
Explored Nazaré and the beautiful beaches along the Silver Coast. As you know, we fell in love with the property on our last visit. However, it was the top of our budget, but we decided not to rush things and continued chasing our dream. It was September 2022 and we were catching a flight, this time to Lisbon. We'd hired a little car and made our way to the mountainous region of Castelo Branco.
We're in Portugal. 19 kilometers from Fundão.
Our minds were working overtime and we were so excited. We made arrangements to meet with an estate agent and go and view properties that we'd identified as potential possibilities. It felt so good to be back. With each visit that we'd made, the pull of Portugal was stronger and stronger. We both knew that this is where we wanted to be, but would it ever become a reality or forever remain a dream?
And here we have the start of the property.
So the footage that you're about to see now is from the day after our visit with the estate agent to this property. It was love at first sight. We returned by ourselves to have a walk around and view it again. It was outstanding.
I don't know if you can make out the fence line there. So, these are oak trees. A couple of pine, but I'd say 95% of the trees on the property are oak. I know they're not cork oak. I'm not sure what variety of oak they are.
We were so excited about seeing this property. In all the excitement, I actually forgot to film or walk around with the estate agent. We'd never come across anything like this. Most properties had fields full of olive trees, perhaps grapes, some fruit, and empty fields. We'd never seen anything quite like this before.
Is that a rental? When we got here and we stood here, I was saying to Pad that this actually feels very much like an English park. You know, where you expect to see kids kicking a football around or some dogs. But really pretty. So this tree line here basically all along is the border of the property. How beautiful is this? It just begs to be planted full of fruit trees, nut trees, beautiful food forest in the making here. So if we go up that footpath, that path there takes us to the ruin, but I'm going to go down here for now.
This is an aerial shot of that path. You may be able to make out the ruin. It's in the top right hand corner of the image. This was beyond our wildest dreams. We never imagined we'd be able to find a property like this. We always dreamed of returning to the land and living in the sticks.
Okay. Here's the fence line. It goes up in that corner, if I'm not mistaken, is the boundary. Then it cuts across to where those boulders are there and goes beyond. So I'm going to walk back and then I will show you the walk up to the ruin.
The ruin, a very old granite stone building, remains solid, and although we'd like to convert it, it's not a major priority to us right now, as we've got a lot of other projects that are going to take priority. But one day, we'll make a beautiful little home for somebody. But would that somebody be us? The land itself was vast, 5.5 hectares, which equates to 55,000 square meters, or 15 acres, of predominantly oak woodland, with a perimeter of something like 1.25 kilometers. And although the land is on a hill, it's beautifully terraced, with large areas of flat land, perfect for growing vegetables, or even planting fruit trees and creating orchards. As we walked around the property, our mind was racing with all the possibilities and seeing the potential that this land offered.
Holy shit. Amazing.
We couldn't believe what we were seeing. Was our dream finally coming true? Well, we'd still have to put an offer in on this property, and we were blown away by what we were seeing. And it just felt right. It was peaceful, tranquil, beautiful, everything that we could have wished for.
Fence line comes all the way up here.
But there was still no guarantee that our offer would be accepted. So until then, this still remains just a dream.
This is a big, thick oak plantation again. Look at those boulders.
Definitely something special about Portugal and its boulders. It just gives the landscape so much character, and it just makes the land so much more interesting. And it obviously creates different habitats for the wildlife out here.
Bit of pine back there. All right, Okie. Yo, did I shit myself in? If you guys heard that, that was an acorn falling and hitting the camera. Maybe it doesn't like being filmed. Or it's like, hello, film me, I'm up here. They're not very old oaks, so I'm baffled as to how long they've been here. Yeah, not complaining though. There's no clear sign of too many trees that he removed from this area. Judging by the ground, looks to be mostly broom that was removed. And you can see in the distance there, that green, that's the broom. So they've obviously, this must have looked as thick and as impenetrable as that is. But just goes to show you clear a bit of that away, and you're left with such a vast space. So the ruin is just there where that clearing is. Paddy's over there in the moment, flying his drone. So the The land itself is massive. I mean, 15 acres is huge. I think it's 5.5 hectares. And if I'm not mistaken, this terrace that I'm approaching now leads to the well, which is somewhere in there. We did see the well yesterday. I will try and get some footage of it today as well. But I'm trying to make my way to the well. This is where the well is. Okay, rather than falling on my ass, like I did yesterday. Look at that view, guys. So, just swing around. Would it be an easy? Yeah. Keep all of those. So the ruin is behind those trees there, just in that little clearing, and then you've got all of this. Great place for a yurt or something. Stunning views. I just need to get up there. I'll come back to you now. So that big boulder in the distance there is my boundary. So from there across here, and then it shoots up to where I've just come from. But for now, let's go back to well hunting. Hidden behind all of this. Look at the size of that well, guys. Yes, it's green on top, but that's typical for Portugal because of the weather. But as long as you're not drinking the water, you're fine. Every little village has specific areas where you can get free drinking water, or you put a purification system in.
While we were here, we nicknamed this area Boulder Alley, as it was full of spectacular boulders. The area was pretty overgrown, so I didn't record everything around here. We made our way back to the rental vehicle and we drove off, witnessing the most spectacular sunset. The interesting thing about Portugal is that it reminds us a lot of South Africa. Lon is actually from South Africa and I lived there for 10 years, and the terrain, the weather, and just the general vibe just reminds us so much of when we lived in South Africa. There's just this strange familiarity about it, which is nice, and we feel so safe here, which is in complete contrast to South Africa. Of course, while we were here in Portugal, we tried to squeeze in as much as possible, and so we visited one of Portugal's most unique and beautiful little villages, Monsanto. The location of Monsanto, close to the Spanish border and on a hill, means it has always been a defensive stronghold, while the appearance of the village has barely altered since the medieval era. There are delightful granite houses and narrowed cobbled paths that weave around the side of the hill, all the way up to the castle. Monsanto lies in the arid and sparsely populated eastern side of Portugal, but this single village makes the entire region worth visiting. Monsanto truly is a beautiful, unique and special place. Just seeing how the houses have been carved into and built around the boulders, it really is fascinating. But of course we wouldn't come all this way without visiting the castle. We climbed up to the top of the hill where the castle is situated, which I gotta admit is quite a trek, but it's most definitely worth it. But Monsanto Castle has got a long and fascinating history that dates back to ancient times, with evidence of human presence as far back as the Paleolithic era. Over the centuries, civilizations like the Romans and the Moors recognized the strategic importance of the hill and built fortifications to protect the area. The castle of Monsanto's Templar history dates back to the 12th century, when King Alfonso Henriques granted it to the Knights Templar. The castle was built under the direction of the Gildem Pace as a prominent Templar figure. Monsanto was strategically located to defend Portugal's eastern border and was built upon previous structures, becoming remodeled and expanded over the centuries. But as beautiful as all this is, our mind was only on one thing, and as I'm sure you can guess, that was the stunning piece of land that we saw. We made an offer and put a deposit down, praying that it would be accepted, but we would have to wait. Like anything in life, there's never any guarantees. And unfortunately, it was time to return to the UK. But we received news. Our offer had actually been accepted. We couldn't believe it. It felt so surreal. This dream of ours had finally come true. It was the end of November when we returned to Portugal. We caught a flight back to Lisbon, once again hired a vehicle and made our way to Castelo Branco to finalise the deal. There was something about this journey that was different, and there was a mixture of emotions. We felt nervous but excited, and we kept thinking, is this really happening? We experienced a variety of weather conditions as we drove through Portugal and headed back up to the mountains, through thick fog and then blue skies with sunshine. As we drove through the mountains and we were getting closer, excitement was really starting to grow, and we were curious about how the land would look, as the seasons had now changed. Although we'd made this journey a few times before now, this time everything was different. This time we were going to our own piece of paradise.
So beautiful.
The leaves were golden brown, the grass was green, the sky was blue. It looked absolutely stunning. So difficult to put into words.
My God.
The feelings and the emotion that we were experiencing at this time. This is something that we had dreamed of for so many years, and finally we were here on a piece of land that was now ours.
I'm just so grateful. Wow, man, I'm so glad we're getting to see it in the winter or the autumn. It's got a colour and a vibrant and a heartbeat of its own that was so different than the heat of summer. You know, just a few months later, from September to now, 1st of December. The colours on the rocks, the moss just pops a green that is just, wow.
felt amazing to be back. We explored the land, as with it being late autumn, we were now able to see more due to the leaves falling, giving us a better view of the land around us. As Lorna explored the land, she came across what could only be described as a very large hole, which didn't appear on our land map, which came as quite a surprise.
Oh, wow!
And within it, next to an old TV, there was a spectacular mushroom.
And look what's in the middle. Nothing to any good. Forget about that. And look at my little coconut friend.
Lorna really loves mushrooms, or cocomellos as they're known here in Portugal. And everywhere we walked, we found wild mushrooms on the forest floor. Lorna came and found me. All excited, she wanted to show me the latest discovery, but we ended up finding something else.
Ah, something there, eh? Ooh.
That's not the one I found.
Oh, this is a big well.
That's not the one I found.
Big one.
It's huge.
With this being such a big piece of land, and so diverse, it was actually really pretty easy to get lost and disorientated.
Oh, I missed that one. Didn't see that.
So,
Yeah.
if you look out that window, over there is where it's at. And then over yonder, there's more interesting things over there.
How green they become, man. Slightest bit of water.
Reluctantly, we had to say goodbye. We were only here for a short visit this time. We just came to finalise the deal, but we left on a high, and our minds were full of ideas. As we drove away, we were already planning our return. If you'd like to come along with us on our next visit, please hit like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any episodes. And we'll see you guys in the next one.